Going into the Lilo and Stitch remake, I had zero expectations for it being a good movie. Seeing the track record of Disney's live action remakes, but say bluntly, it was unimaginably worse than I expected, and it was just a painless cash grab and just pushed propaganda. And it was funded by the CIA. But if you're only into if you only wanted a review of the movie, I would just say it's 1 out of 10. Horrible movie. Do not spend your money on it. This is the last movie you should be watching right now. I mean, going into a remake, changes are expected. It's an adaptation of an already story that's already made. So I feel like I won't fault the movie for making changes to the story, but when looking at those changes, there are huge faults in the plot. I mean, if you I'm so dead ass when I say this. They speed ran all the nostalgia bait scenes and everything from the original that you can imagine, with the guy dropping a snow cone, with Lilo and Stitch, even meeting each other when she first buys him. All of those engagements with that were character building moments between characters, they speed ran. The entire movie felt like a montage, which is crazy to say. And there's this and okay, spoiler review. There's spoilers, okay? Let's go into spoilers. They changed the entire plot of the movie to being a found family and finding yourself, to just a lesson about being a burden on your family and how family's broken, which I don't understand. Like in the movie outright they say that Owana means family, and then they give a different Hawaiian saying or phrase which they used for Nani to go to Marine school, which is fine and dandy, but when looking at it, it's crazy. Now, before I actually just dump on this movie and saying how bad it is, there are a couple of things that I did like about the movie, which is very shallow to say. I would just say Stitch is very cute. Who doesn't love Stitch? Let's be honest. Stitch is very cute, adorable. He carries the movie. In the first half of the movie, it was a joy just seeing Stitch be Stitch and in this new animated form and seeing him bring to life. But that kind of nostalgia and aspect of the movie is completely ruined once Stitch comes to Hawaii. Once he comes to Hawaii, you're immediately introduced to Lilo and Nani, which in of itself isn't bad, but and the acting of the core characters seems so rushed and one note because they're trying to be one to one to the animation. Which, if you know, animation cannot be created one to one in real life because it just comes off weird. It looks like an anime movie. If you watch the One Piece live action remake or Death Note, well, let me not just say Death Note, but really more One Piece. The acting in this movie really reminiscent of anime live action acting, because for the fact that in animation, every minute detail is made with thought behind it. But when you translate that to live action, when every minute background character and dust sand movement, when every minute detail is crafted like that in live action, it comes off as unnatural or ingenuine, which is crazy because there was a montage of the beach montage where Lilo and Stitch are on the beach. That entire scene of the movie just seemed ingenuine and seemed off. Any scene when there's not side characters, and any scene when there's background characters, background actors, or just general Hawaiian citizens and tourists, it comes off unnatural, which sucks because we all love Lilo and Stitch, it just sucks. Now besides that, the only thing I like about the movie is Stitch. Okay, I'll just be honest. The only thing I like about the movie is Stitch. That's just keeping it bluntly, and I'm not gonna fault any of the actors in this because I'm aware that as far as I've heard, the actors didn't even want to be in this, to be honest. They were frustrated with the production behind it because they were silenced so much. There's just so much to say about this movie, I'm not gonna lie. With certain characters, Jumbo was completely changed. Now he's the villain of the story. He betrays Bleakley and the rest of the family, the found family in the original. So that's crazy. And then other characters changed, this Bubbles, Mr. Bubbles, he's changed it completely. Instead of being the CPS agent, instead he is just a CIA agent investigating aliens, which becomes really weird. I'll talk about it later. It gets really weird with Mr. Bubbles. So going into the plot of the movie, the plot is is genuinely horrible. And not to mention, they speed run the whole movie. All the parts that you want to go see Lilo and Stitch for, they speed run. And when the movie finished, I didn't even realize it was finished. Like, I was genuinely like, oh, that's it? Like, I was expecting more movie. I was expecting more Lilo and Stitch. So going into, like, the actual plot, the whole plot, instead of revolving around making this found family, it's literally about Nani going and leaving her family behind, which is crazy to say. The entire movie, they're talking about how Nani is overwhelmed and burdened by Lilo and all that, and how they even have Lilo tell Nani, oh yeah, I want you to go to college. And this results in Nani giving up Lilo to the state. And Lilo lives with her neighbor and Mr. Bubbles, which is also confusing, which I won't talk about. Well, actually not confusing. Now that I think about it, it's probably because Stitch is there, and like I said, Mr. Bubbles is there to keep the aliens under supervision. According to the lore. Right, guys? Right. But this okay. This all becomes really weird when you look at it, because for the fact that this is all changed. And that's the part that these changes to the original movie could have been anything. They could have changed it to anything, but they decided to change it to push their agenda. Because let's just keep it a buck, okay? This is the CIA, and if they're painting the CIA in a positive light, acting like they can save the day, there's something actually wrong, especially in the climate we have right now, where people are actually making jokes online about the CIA bringing down minority communities. So besides that, that's really weird, as long as with the changes to Pleakley. So if you haven't noticed, I have barely talked about Pleakley this whole time, okay? And that's because any scene with Pleakley and Jumba feels like I'm watching a completely different movie, okay? Because their disguises in the animated and the original, their disguises are just them in human disguises with a fake mustache, with sunglasses, with wigs, and it's very obvious that they're aliens. But that's a part of the appeal. That's part of like the comedy. It's really funny. It's really silly. It's a kids movie, which that's not to its fault. I'm saying that elevates it to its expression. It's art. It's literally animated. So we as viewers know, oh, those are aliens. That's so dumb. How does no one know they're aliens? But in this one, they just make it so, oh, they actually look like humans, which makes it a very boring watch. Okay, that makes it very boring. Now with those changes, instead of Pleakley's disguise being a woman and a man with Jumba, right, a woman and a man because they're husband and wife, their disguises, they're made two men, which it goes kind of like it's so weird to look at that change when we're talking about them making these changes to fit a certain agenda, because I feel like back when the original was made, or like when a lot of movies were made in the past, they weren't made with kind of this like political correctness, in the sense that they want to appeal to wide demographics in other countries that might have different views than their own, right? And with those changes, I'm not going to talk about the biggest change so far that made this movie criminal for me and actually made me mad when the finals credits rolled. But with these changes to Pleakley and him being changed to a human with a man disguise, so when he changes, what he says is, oh, let's choose these two people. They look like they're best friends. Which, that's the line. Yeah, we're hearing that, but we're seeing two men with a baby. And in the world we live in right now, you're going to think that's a gay couple. So what were they trying to do, not making it so he cross-dresses as a woman? Like, so it's just so frustrating to think about, because they're uplifting this idea of like, oh yeah, we could have a gay couple, but they're really best friends. Like, we're not going to talk about that because that's just erasure in itself. But Pleakley not cross-dressing is just acting like transgender people or drag or people cross-dressing just doesn't exist, which is a whole nother set of problems. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a kid's movie, and when I was little and I watched Lilo and Stitch, I wasn't like, oh my god, transgender people because an alien is dressing as a girl. No, I just saw it as an alien disguising as a woman. Like, that's what it is. But when they do that, that's obviously something they're scared to represent. They're scared to present that, especially to little kids. And that goes back to saying Owana isn't family, and to give up on your family sometimes your family is broken. These are like genuinely bad messages to be sending out to our kids. And that's just going back to what I think. This movie is really just for the Disney fanatics and Disney D writers that are just gonna like Watch anything Disney. This is for the zombies, man. The birds, man. They don't care about what they watch. Because genuinely, this movie is bad. Don't watch this movie. It is horrible. The only good thing about it is Stitch, and you could just watch that on Disney Plus or on a like pirating website in T minus a month, to be honest. Because this movie's not very long. It's sped by for me, and it was unimpressed. I went in with zero expectations and still ended up disappointed. And that's not even touching on Jumba. Okay, Jumba was one of my fan favorites in the original. And in this lazy cash grab reboot, they turn him into the villain with a horrible, horrible voice acting. Because, why does he not have an accent? Okay, weird, right? So much to say, man. This movie's not good. Really not good. Now, other than like politically correct changes that they made to the original, the biggest change to me, and I like witnessed while sitting in the theater and like going into an expectation of Lilo and Stitch, right? They erased all the cultural representation in the movie, which is crazy to say. How would you have a Lilo and Stitch movie with no Hawaiian cultural, like traditional representation? And yes, all right, let me not say they erased everything, okay? They have Lilo dancing in her dance performance with her friends, right? But we never see. I'm so sorry. I don't know the male character's Nani's boyfriend's name. I believe his name is like Justin, right? We never see him do his torch dance. Okay, okay, the biggest cultural erasure. We never hear. You know the iconic Lilo and Stitch song? You only hear it like once in the movie, I believe, which I don't remember if you hear it in the original, but you don't hear that at all throughout the movie. And the only time I remember hearing it outside of the beginning of the movie is at the end credits. At the very end of the movie, that's when you see it. And that's just crazy to me. You know, and this Lilo and Stitch reboot, or not reboot, remake, honestly, no respect for the original. And that is just crazy to me. People need to stop seeing these live action reboots or remakes because they have no artistic vision behind them. They're just hungry cash grabs. And honestly, before Disney would hide it, but behind their flamboyant actors and singing choices, right? But now it's just so obvious, man. They didn't even try with this one. This was bad. This is the worst movie I've seen all of 2025. I'm gonna be honest. Even the parts where I liked Stitch, right? Oh, I love Stitch, right? And he looked really cute in this movie. I'll give them that. Stitch looks great. But that doesn't excuse the fact that they butchered his character. They made it so Stitch is seen as a dog to Lilo still by the end of the movie because he never revealed himself as an alien to her. They never talked about it. They never had that discussion. And that's beyond the other like problem with Nani and Lilo, their relationship throughout the movie and how that's butchered. That's crazy to me. I really just don't understand the choices made behind this. And I really do think like they don't care about the fans of the original. This movie was made for broader demographics to make more money overseas when they don't want to see transgender people. They don't want to see cultural representation. I don't understand that. Who wants... It's crazy to me that they're painting giving up your younger sister to CPS as an uplifting moment. Like, that's the right thing to do. I understand there's circumstances in the real world, but when looking at that in the context of being a remake, that is crazy. That's just crazy. Hey, 0 out of 10. 1 out of 10.